Oh, all right. What's up, guys? Welcome to Rock Vegas, everybody. This is Glen Rockney. Um, it took me a while I wasn't sure I was even going to do this tonight, but I do have a busy week ahead of me. I wanted to make sure I did an episode. Wanted to make sure I had a beer first. I'm not like you degenerates that drink early in the morning during Raider Sundays. I wait till about 4 o'clock every single day. So I'm having my beer, chilling out a little bit. I'm still very mad at this team. And I I understand I understand why the team might have felt a little weird today. I mean, they've gone through a lot. Gone through a lot the last couple of weeks. They've been in the spotlight for things they shouldn't be in the spotlight for. They've had some ups and downs this season, but today was a winnable game against a bad team. And they shit the bed. And most importantly, the most stable person, and I don't want to get to him right now because I will do my Derek Carr rant, but the guy who's here, the 8-year captain, the guy who's looked at as kind of like another coach on the team, right? Like Derek Carr. I mean, a lot of people hate him. I don't hate him. In fact, if you've listened to the show, you probably rolled your eyes at some of the Carr takes I've had because some of you guys really don't like him. And I understand the frustration. The reason I understand the frustration is because of games like today, when the 8-year captain was flat out confused by the Giants defense. Let that be known. Let that be known that he was confused. He made just bad reads. I don't believe that the wide receivers had a good game at all as far as gaining separation, but there were throws that should not have been made. Simple as that. Just throws that should not have been made. That's on 4. That's on Derek Carr. No sense doing PR right now for Derek Carr, right? What's the reason to work at the clock in? You know, I can't imagine as a Raider fan. Some of the Carr people are going to get mad at me for this, but whatever. I have to call it like it is with Carr. I cannot champion him when he doesn't do well. I can't. I'm a fan of the Raiders, not Derek Carr. I'm a fan of the Raiders. I like Derek Carr a lot more than I don't. But the fact that some fans, and this is probably the ultimate cope, the fact that some fans, the minute that the knee goes down, right, when the Giants take a knee and that's it, right, after the sack fumble, the fact that they can just say, okay, time for me to clock in, hit the old school punch clock, time for me to clock in at the Defend Derek Carr factory and just go through all these things. Oh, man, he missed Ruggs really bad. Oh, man, Colton Miller missed a block on the last play, which he did. Colton Miller got his ass kicked on the very important play. Sure. If Daniel Carlson didn't miss a field goal, which, hey, again, all these things are bad. But Derek Carr did not make plays in the red zone. He missed a wide open Darren Waller in the red zone, something that he never does, especially not with Waller. He's typically, when we're talking wide open, we're talking busted coverage. Waller was by himself in the back of the end zone. And Carr just flat out missed him, right? The interceptions were bad. I mean, like the pick six was late. He had Renfrow open early, but he left it behind, was late. I thought Carr was moving his eyes well earlier in the game, kind of creating space with his eyes for receivers. But that one, he just stared right at Renfrow and threw a pick six. Like there was really no way for that ball to be complete. It was covered. Some of the Giants did an okay job covering the receivers. I'm not saying they didn't. Then the second interception, you're going to Zay Jones. Zay Jones, out of a somewhat clean pocket. I mean, I'm not going to say he had all day back there, but out of a somewhat clean pocket, you're going to try to find Zay Jones down the sideline, covered by James Bradbury, who's one of the best corners in the NFL, with safety help. And again, you're trying to hit Zay Jones, all right? The only time you should hit Zay Jones is when you're like, hey, we're not playing football right now. Let me hit up Zay Jones and see if he wants to hang out, because he seems like a cool guy, not a good football player. So, anyways, I'll get back to Derek Carr. I'll get back to it because the team did look lost, but it's not all bad. The defense played a good game. You could point out that they got gashed a little bit in the run game. I'll agree with that. They got gashed in that run game. It's fair to say. Gave up 100 yards to Devontae Booker. Gave up 100 yards to Devontae Booker on the ground. I mean, that's inexcusable. Daniel Jones had a couple scrambles. But the defense played well, played winning football. They got one touchdown. Derek Carr caused a touchdown for the Giants and gave up a touchdown himself, and the Raiders defense gave up one touchdown. They held the Giants to field goals when they could. They had a couple stops, created a turnover that only led to 3 Raiders points when they were already in field goal range after the turnover. And you know, for the most part, they did all right. Like, it was a pretty solid game. Like, that's everything that Raider fans, especially the ones that were really, you know, pro Carr, like really, really behind Derek Carr. Derek Carr's best quarterback in the league, but we just need to fix these 15 things. Like, again, I'm one of those people that don't necessarily think that we utilized our draft picks the best way over the last couple of years. That we could have had a team that could win in spite of Carr's flaws if we drafted a little bit better. But that being said, this defense was something we didn't have last year. So that was a little bit easier to make that excuse that you had the 32nd ranked defense. That they did not play like the 32nd ranked defense, and they have not played like that defense from last year all this year. So these losses definitely put more of a spotlight on Derek Carr. I wasn't a huge fan of what Greg Olsen was calling either. I'll say that much. There's a play in the red zone right before Daniel Carlson missed the field goal in the second half where Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs gets hurt on the first play. It was a run, and then they run on 2nd and 8. And it's like on 2nd and 8, I almost never want to run, especially in the red zone. So then 3rd down play, it was kind of a weird play. Carr gets the ball off to Jacobs. Jacobs gets tackled. Nice tackle by the defensive back. All right, fine. You know what I mean? Go for it on 4th down. Nope, they send out Daniel Carlson for the field goal to be down 1, which I never understood. Like, I get it. Maybe you want to make it. No, go for the touchdown. Bring in Marcus Mariota, your short yardage quarterback. He converted a 4th down earlier. He can convert 4th and 3 right there. If he doesn't, Giants are pinned back against the goal line. So guess what? Daniel Carlson misses the field goal. That's what you get. You know, Bisaccia didn't have a great game today, I didn't think. You kind of saw his inexperience as a head coach, calling timeouts when guys were already granted an injury timeout, losing a timeout late, made them have to rush a little bit at the end. I'm not excusing certain play for it, but these are just little things that teams do, that good coaches do and stuff. And you know, Rich Bisaccia has done a good job in spite of everything. This is not a smear campaign, and I like Greg Olsen a lot too. But early in the game, Greg Olsen was getting whatever he wanted with his running backs in the passing game and the run game. But all of a sudden felt the need. It's like, we got to start getting Bryan Edwards going. We got to start getting, we have to force the ball to Darren Waller. We have to force the ball to Zay Jones. We have to do this stuff. And it's like, hey, you actually don't. Alec Ingold, Kenyon Drake, and Josh Jacobs were eating in that game. The Giants did not have an answer for them in the flats. Didn't have an answer for them. But instead, you want to lock in on Renfro. No, you don't want to do that. Teams know you like to throw to Hunter Renfro. Like, work those guys. So back to Derek Carr. It's fair to have questions about him. It's fair. It's fair to have questions about him because it's November. You turn the calendar to November. And let's not forget that this might be the worst stadium that Derek Carr plays in, performance-wise. MetLife Stadium. I've seen him have a bad game against the Giants there. I've seen him had two, he's definitely had 2 bad games like that. They should have lost that game last year at MetLife. Derek Carr didn't play well in that game. And you had the miracle to Henry Ruggs there at the end. But then that Jets game the year before was one of Carr's worst games of his career. And then you talk about this one, I think it's right up there. Just doesn't play well at that stadium. I mean, I hate to say it. And, I think when I was talking to a few people that know more about football than me, the Giants defense, and I think they saw this last year. Rich, I got to tell you, you say Arrowhead in the comments. I had Arrowhead in my mind, like maybe that's the best way he plays, but he lit up Arrowhead last year. I know there was no fans, but like he hasn't done that at MetLife Stadium at all. Like he hasn't like lit it up. I agree that the bad's been really bad at Arrowhead though. I'm with you on that, but at least had that one big game last year. I mean, he just hasn't had that at MetLife Stadium. And, we don't have to go there very often. They're not in the division. Arrowhead's in the division. It's more important to play better at Arrowhead. So I'll give you something there for sure. But, it's With Carr, the mistakes compound sometimes. Like you could tell after that first mistake, you're like, okay, is he going to have the damage control? Like against Miami this year, he threw that pick 6 early, right? I think it was Miami. So Miami or Philly? Might have just been Philly the last game now that I think about it. No. It was Miami. He threw that pick 6 against Miami, kind of a weird fluky play, but where Moreau stopped running the route, but then Carr just threw it right at the linebacker, touchdown. But for the rest of the game, he played good football. He kind of bounced, he shook it off early. But when those mistakes come in the second half, I feel like Carr really, really presses. He presses. And what I saw from Carr today that kind of scared me was that the Giants were throwing kind of exotic coverages at him, and he actually looked like he didn't know what to do. Now, I've never thought, that Derek Carr gets confused often. I don't think he gets confused by defenses very often. I think he's a very smart quarterback. I think he gets tentative, shy, and kind of happy feet in the pocket when he gets nervous. And that's what creates his mistakes. Not necessarily not knowing what the read to do is. I think he's very good at that. I think, like I said, he makes things run on time when he's working well. Now, today he looked confused. He just made some bad reads, like I was saying. And, it's just too bad because a win today, God, even an ugly win. Like I was even saying, like at the end, I was like, man, I don't feel like they're going to win this game, but if they do sneak it out, I'll feel good. Like I'll feel good because you had a tough week and you got away with a win, and they should have. They should have. Now, Carr overthrew Waller in the end zone. We see that it was awful throw. Like in my head, I'm thinking, all right, he'll hit that one next time. Like they're moving the ball well. Where I do have a little bit of confidence is that they move the ball really well between the 20s. And I know people say that, oh, that's always the case. Red zone's bad. No, that's true. But when the Raiders are really, really bad, it's 3 and out. And they weren't doing that today, which I liked. So at least like Henry Ruggs wasn't the problem today. And I got kind of, some people push back on me for that. People who wanted to make excuses about today, but I don't believe that Henry Ruggs fixes the game today. There were a couple routes because I'm very mad at Bryan Edwards right now, the way he played today. There was a deep cross early where I thought Bryan Edwards just stopped for whatever reason, and the throw was a little in front of him. But if you just keep running that cross, you got that, and you might be able to run after the catch. And, Ruggs sometimes runs that deep cross route, and he runs it really well. I'm trying not to keep talking about him, but I think it's important to talk about him today. Ruggs doesn't solve your red zone issues. Ruggs has 0 touchdowns in the red zone in his career. 0 touchdowns. So if the Raiders couldn't move the ball at all today, I'd argue that Henry Ruggs, that deep threat presence, would have really helped them if they couldn't move the ball from inside the 20s, because teams, you think, oh, teams aren't scared of the speed. They don't worry about that. They still move the ball pretty well. But in that red zone, there was one play. I actually thought Carr made a nice throw twice. Edwards was covered in the red zone on it was something over the middle. And it tipped, what I'm saying? Like it tipped in his like kind of off, but I was like, okay, you're a contested catch wide receiver. Like I kind of need to see you bring that ball down. That's fine. Next play, Darren Waller had good coverage on him by James Bradbury, but I thought that throw was there, and I thought he should have had one, a touchdown there, just personally to me. That one too. But then again, you got to hit the wide open one to Waller. That one's got to be converted every time, right? Convert the easy ones. If they just did some of the easy things today, they would have won. And we would just be nitpicking a little bit on this podcast. That's what I do. Nitpick a little bit. Oh, I don't like the way this guy played, but it's good. That's all right. We'll be all right. No, this is bad. I watched the Chiefs against the Packers. They don't look good. They're not a good team. They're not a good team, but I'm scared that the Raiders are like trending worse than even they are. I'm scared that next week the Chiefs figure it out and the Raiders are losing their mind over stuff. Like I am a little bit nervous about that. So, I can't be too mad. The Raiders are 5-3. But it's when you get these losses, right? It's when you get these losses that get bad. Like that Bears loss, they shook it off, right? If the Raiders win the next 2 games, because look, the one thing they have going for them, I saw somebody put in the chat that uh, I saw somebody put in the chat that the AFC kind of sucks right now, which I do agree. Like Cleveland just beat the brakes off Cincinnati today. That's a rivalry game, division rivalry, state rivalry. One of the few ones where that's a thing. Like a somewhat smaller state. I'm in California. Every state's small except for Texas, but it's a smaller state. You got a rivalry, and you're in the same division. That's usually it's a team in each conference, but if you're in the same state, so they beat the brakes off him. Joe Burrow didn't look good today. They're struggling, right? You look in the NFC, Dallas looked horrible today against Denver, but that's bad for us personally because Denver's creeping up again. Not super scared of them, but they're winning. And then you have who else lost today? I mean, like Buffalo lost to Jacksonville. So, some people say, downside the AFC sucks, but it's like, why couldn't the Raiders be the team that won today? Had they just won that game? Because in spite of that, it was still a one-score game. All the mistakes they made today. Thought they covered receivers well on the back end and defense and stuff. There's just a couple plays that didn't work out well for them. They gave up that was it the opening drive touchdown, and other than that, the defense was giving up just field goals, creating some turnover, I should say. And that's had the Raiders won today, they could have been the 1 seed. But it's a bad week. It's a bad week. Everybody in the division won except the Raiders. So next week's the Chiefs. And I'm seeing another thing in the chat here. Raider Rich says, Carr turned back into check down king. I don't hate check down Carr. I hate hold the ball for a long time and get kind of nervous Carr. That's what I hate. When that ball comes out on time, and he has running backs this year that I love throwing to Drake early. I love throwing to Jacobs early. I love throwing to those guys early on downs and letting them run. I think they're really good at that stuff. I like throwing to Alec Ingold in the flat. I don't mind when they check down. I don't need Carr throwing deep all the time, especially right now. I don't mind that. I don't need this big gunslinger mentality. They winning. That's not what didn't win them the game today. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying, Rich, but it's not. That's not what's happening. What's happening is that when he wants to throw down the field, for one, you're throwing downfield to Zay Jones. Maybe when I'm only throwing downfield to Zay Jones if I see him wide open. But if I see number 24, James Bradbury, with a safety coming over the top, I'm not even looking at the play. I guarantee you, if you put it to you this way, if Zay Jones is covered by James Bradbury and the safety's going over there, somebody else is open. So I don't mind check down Carr. I think there's good check down options on this team. So enough with that. Last thing before I get out of here. Deshaun Jackson is expected to become a Raider. He just posted the picture in the Color Rush jersey. I mean, he's coming in. He's getting over league minimum. Definitely played the game well. He saw the team that was desperate. I will say, I mean, I don't think he hurts the team. I just don't know if that was the problem today. Like I said, the Raiders didn't have trouble moving the ball. Maybe he gets open one time for a deep play, but I just, who knows if we even hit that today. It was just the team didn't look like they could execute anything, any big play. But what Deshaun Jackson does give you, and again, he's lost a step. He doesn't have that Deshaun Jackson speed from Philly. He gets hurt a lot. In the Rams game, I've seen him catch a deep ball and not be able to take it into the end zone where he would normally walk in on other times. He doesn't have that. Now, what he does have is, and the Raiders don't really have this guy right now. Maybe Darren Waller and Kenyon Drake are these guys. They don't really have somebody that could score from outside the red zone. That was what Henry Ruggs brought to this team. So if you do struggle in the red zone, there's a chance you could hit that big play. Maybe Deshaun Jackson's that guy to catch a 35-yard fade ball. Because I do like the way Carr throws that when it's early, when he throws it and he knows he sees one-on-one coverage and throws it. I think he's still really good at that stuff. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do like that they brought him in. I would have liked to get Odell. I don't think they have cap room to bring in Odell right now. So, because I'd like them both, because I don't trust Edwards or Zay Jones right now. Like, I trust Edwards when you have a couple other threats and he's like the third or fourth guy, right? I don't trust him as like a main guy getting one of the two starting corners put on him. Like and not drawing a lot and drawing more attention from a defense. But yeah, I don't trust either of those guys right now. I mean, it just is what it is. What I do want to see is more, bigger personnel. I think the offensive line's getting some push against runs. I think playing these tough defenses early, these Pittsburghs, these Baltimores, these even Philly up front has a few guys. Playing these defenses early, I think this offensive line's playing lesser defensive lines, and being able to push them around a little bit in the run game. And that's encouraging because they're going to need that. So what I want to see is Foster Moreau and Darren Waller on the field a lot more together. Bring in Ingold and stuff. They're going to have to start doing it like 2019, right? And we know 2019 didn't end well, and that's partially because they didn't have that stretch the field threat. It's the reason they drafted Ruggs in 2020 after that. But play to your personnel. You don't have deep threats right now. We'll see what happens with Deshaun Jackson. We'll see, how even against the Chiefs, if he's even a factor. I'm sure he'll play, but we'll see if he's even a factor. But if he's not, you're playing the Chiefs. They're kind of soft. I mean, if they have that weakness on defense, it's that they're soft. Go out there, jumbo formation. You can play action out of that, hit guys in the flat and let them run. I like that style of play. And here and there, I said earlier, play action sets up the run, and I do think that's true. Some people thought I was joking. They're like, get out of here. What are you talking about? No, it does. The Raiders couldn't run the ball under John Gruden. One, because they didn't have a great offensive line. But two, it's because they didn't disguise play action. When you see the quarterback drop back and it looks like he's going to hand the ball off, if you know that the team will never play action, you can crash in on the running back, right? But they do play action a lot more now. So you do have to you can't just cheat on that run all the time. That's why I think it does actually set up the run game in 2020. So those are some encouraging things. I don't think we're witnessing the collapse that we saw last year yet. Could still happen, but I don't think that's fair to say right now that they look exactly the same, because we did have the 32nd ranked defense last year. So hopefully this is just a speed bump, bad week, crazy shit happened. Like, hopefully that it's just that catching up with them and they can shake it off. They have a huge game this week. I mean, there's no way they can't be not, if they're not motivated for this game, then we're in trouble. Like if they, if it ends up being a crazy battle and kind of a toss up at the end, all right, whatever. But if they come out flat, then yeah, we're in trouble. So that's it for me, guys. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the evening, watch a little Sunday Night Football. My name is Glen Rockney. Follow me on Twitter at Glen Rockney. Subscribe to the channel. This is RC Sports. Nothing but sports content on this channel. I have another podcast called Rare Candy. And yeah, that's it for me. Hope everybody has a nice weekend. The rest of it, I should say. Safe week at work. And